Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Friday the 7th of October 2022. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Let's jump into it. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 finished today down 0.8% to 6,763 points, wrapping up what turned out to be a pretty good week, thanks to the Reserve Bank's decision to lift interest rates by 25 basis points and not 50 basis points. For the week, the ASX 200 was up 4.5%. Now, that's the biggest weekly gain in 2 years. Today, the only sector doing much good was energy, thanks to rising oil prices. Origin Energy was up 1.2% and Santos gained nearly 2%. Karoon Energy leapt 9.1%. That was the best of the top 200 after the Brazilian government's oil and gas regulator agreed to a reduction in the royalty rate in Karoon's project in Brazil. That'll help earnings, hence a share price rise. Coal miners Whitehaven and New Hope yet again hit records. Fund manager GQG fell 3% after being hit by the UK pension fund scramble. The banks were lower, so too the big miners, the tech stocks and the real estate investment trusts. Story number 2. Those stage 3 tax cuts we all expect to get in the middle of 2024 are looking more and more unlikely. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese today said the difficult decisions would have to be made ahead of the mini-budget at the end of the month. He said the budget would need to take into account the consequences of a rapidly deteriorating global economic outlook and the cost pressures caused by defence, health, the National Disability Insurance Scheme, aged care and interest payments on debt. At about the same time, Treasurer Jim Chalmers said the global economy had deteriorated over the course of the last few weeks. He also said he thought stage 3 tax cuts need to be targeted. As legislated at the moment, they're anything but targeted, providing for a flat 30% rate for anyone earning between $45,000 and $200,000. That's about 95% of the population. I reckon they're going to change. Story number 3, Australians spend an average of 3.5 hours a day on unpaid work activities, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics Time Use Survey released today. Unpaid work includes domestic duties like housework, food and drink preparation and shopping, as well as childcare, adult care and volunteering activities. But guess what? Females do much more of it than males. I'm not sure that's news, actually. With women spending an average of 4 hours 31 minutes doing unpaid work activities each day and men spending about 3 hours and 12 minutes. On average, people spend almost 5.5 hours a day on free time activities that included social interaction, recreation and leisure activities. 3/4 of people reported watching television and video for an average of nearly 3 hours. 30% of respondents spent time doing exercise, sport and outdoor activities for about an hour and a half. Story number 4, the Reserve Bank released its financial stability review today and it came with plenty of warnings. The big one was that rising interest rates on the back of higher inflation will make it difficult for some borrowers to meet debt repayments. In fact, a small cohort is likely to not be able to meet repayments. But overall, households are reasonably well placed to adjust to a period of higher interest rates. That's in part thanks to accumulated savings in recent years. The bank also said global financial stability risks have increased amid rising interest rates and greater uncertainty, and the risk of cyber attack is elevated and a significant incident could have implications for the finance system. And finally, story number 5, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky last night appeared at a Lowy Institute discussion and called for a NATO preemptive strike against Russia, triggering an angry response from Moscow. Mr. Zelensky zoomed in to the think tank's audience and said the preemptive strikes should be undertaken to rule out Russian use of nuclear weapons. The Ukrainian president also called on Australia to lobby the international community ahead of a critical UN vote next week on Russia's actions annexing 4 parts of Ukraine. That's it for the afternoon report for Friday the 7th of October 2022. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Twitter and Facebook. Join Michael Thompson and I tomorrow morning for the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed, the top 5 business stories this week that you need to know about in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.